strong, beautiful, amazing, purposed, and crafted by the Father for such a time as this. All Things Woman is a talk show purposed for women, for the queens who were created and crafted by God for such a time as this. All Things Woman is all about celebrating the woman as God's beautiful and amazing masterpiece. Life has tried to take you out, but every single time, because of the strength of God that is within you, woman, you got back up. You kept moving, and God carried you in the times where you couldn't even walk on your own. Welcome to this episode of All Things Woman Talk Show. I am your host, Dr. Ebony Bell, and I'm super excited about today's show. I want to start the show off today a little bit different. I want to give you what I love to call a masterpiece moment. A masterpiece moment is just something I use to empower women. As you guys know, All Things Woman Talk Show is all about celebrating the masterpiece of woman. But here's the thing about being a masterpiece. My encouragement for you today is to be who you are. Not to be a carbon copy of someone else, not to be someone who is not authentic, not to look at someone else and want to be like them. I always tell people the biggest joy stealer is comparing yourself to other people. So my encouragement today, and we're talking about fashion as we start the show off, one of the ways that I love to be authentic is to just wear things that are out of the box. I am a pastor's wife, and many pastors' wives have a certain way that they want to dress. When I came into this thing, I said, look, I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to dress the way I dress. I might wear Chucks one Sunday. I might have on jeans and a T-shirt one Sunday. And then I might have on, a hat, a church hat or something, but not really. But you know what I'm saying? I love to be me. I love to be authentic. And that's one thing about being God's masterpiece. Finding out who you are and being that unapologetically. Listen, today's guest, I'm so excited. We have none other than First State Fashion Week, Laia Washington, and we're going to interview and ask her some questions about fashion, style, modeling, and then guess what? We're going to learn how to walk like a model. Yes, let's get into it. Hey, girl, hey, girl, hey, girl. Listen,
Hi.
I'm so excited because Delaware has something amazing, First State Fashion Week. Tell me how or where the passion came from to start First State Fashion Week.
Well, first, I definitely, if you look at me, of course, I'm a different person. I have a different look.
Go there first. Talk to me about your look.
I have vitiligo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm African American, Spanish and Jamaican descent.
Okay.
And I feel like with my features are definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
My vitiligo makes them even more different.
Yes.
But I'm definitely okay in the skin that I'm in.
Yes.
I don't like covering who I am up because it's not me. And I'm glad that I don't look like everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
So that's that with that. With First State Fashion Week, with me being into fashion, ever since I was a little girl, always into hair, makeup, clothes,
Yes.
borrowing your mom's clothes, shoes, those type of things. I started modeling at the age of, I think, 12 years old.
Okay.
And I stopped because they wanted to take me out of school, and I wanted to finish school, so education was first. So after all of that, I got back into modeling, and I kind of prayed about it, and I was ready to walk away.
Okay.
And in the walk away moment, all of these things started to fall into my lap.
Okay.
I was chosen to go on America's Next Top Model.
Wow.
I still have, all my paperwork, everything, but it was up to me to go on Top Model or to stay in Delaware and create a program for girls.
Okay, tell me about that program.
So the name of the program is Make Me Pretty, Developing Beauty from the Inside Out. So when it comes to modeling also, just, as a reflection, to me, it's not about what someone sees on the outside.
Okay.
It's about what I can offer on the inside.
Yes.
Every model that I do mentor, I do instill those things in them.
Okay.
I do make them speak up, and I allow them to know, to allow the confidence that's on the inside to shine, not just the beauty on the outside.
Yes, yes.
So with being a founder of First State Fashion Week, I was a part of another fashion week here in Delaware.
Okay.
I stepped up to help out in need. I was no longer, needed, I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I wasn't a part of it anymore. My team just said, Nikki, this has been a dream of yours,
Mhm.
and even though you stepped up to help someone else,
Yes.
I think that you should follow your vision.
Yes.
Of course, I did not want to do it
Mhm.
because I didn't want it to be an issue. I didn't want someone to think that I was attempting to take something from them.
Let me stop you right
Go
there.
ahead. Mhm.
So what you're saying is you had an original dream and a vision within
Yes.
you.
Mhm.
Someone else had a dream that was similar to yours.
Yes.
You stepped up to help someone else's
Yes.
vision and someone else's dream.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you were no longer allowed to be a part of that dream for whatever that story is.
Mhm.
But the beautiful part of it is that you did not let that stop you.
No.
And I commend you for that, because you have no idea how your dream impacts somebody else and how the vision that, God gave you can impact someone else and give somebody else a start. I love that. So tell us about Fashion Week. Where can we get more information? When is it? And all that good stuff.
Okay. Before I go into when First Day Fashion Week is, I definitely first like to even, elaborate on the vision of
Okay,
it.
yes.
My son was in the hospital for 12 days. Crazy thing is, he shouldn't have been walking. He shouldn't have been talking. Liver, lungs, heart, yada, yada, should have all been shutting down. But God told me, you're here for a reason. You're here for a miracle, to show these doctors and nurses who they should turn to and rely on 1st. So me being me, and if you know me, it doesn't matter. I mean, I just have a different personality. I am myself, I'll say that. And I allow the doctors and nurses to know that. So some things were going on, and at that moment, my team was pushing and saying, Nikki, you still need to pursue this. You need to pursue this. So I go to sleep in this hospital 12 different days. I wake up, I go to work or did whatever I did, and I smiled, and I was so at peace. And I knew at that point, I said, God, have your way. Allow me to know what it is that I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it. So I go to sleep. I wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I saw First Date Fashion Weeks, and it was all in lights.
Wow.
And at that moment, I decided I definitely have to go forward with this. That was in February, and from there, I just started planning and going forward. So First Date Fashion Week would take place July 24th through the 30th.
Okay.
All right, we have different venues that we will hold them at. We will have an opening day, and it's a celebratory meet and greet.
Okay.
And my birthday actually falls on that day, July
Awesome.
24th. That will be in Middletown at $2.99.
Okay.
And then we have our hair flare competition, which will be on Monday in Newark at, I think, JMS Studios.
Okay.
On Tuesday, we're actually doing an art, fashion, and poetry.
Yes.
And
I'll
that
be
will,
there.
Yes. And that will be held at Bobby Ryan's.
Okay.
Wednesday will be our art of fashion.
Yes.
And basically, and it just tells where fashion derived from.
Yes.
And
History of it.
yes, and the people that are going to participate. Talk about how they got into fashion.
Awesome. I love it.
And
I love it.
I'm trying to, Thursday will be kind of like a pop-up shop.
Okay.
Friday and Saturday are our main shows, and they will be held at Dover Mall at
Awesome.
6 p.m.
Listen, I'm so excited about Delaware Fashion Week. We have a treat for you all. Please make sure that you follow the First Date Fashion Week on Facebook so you can have all the dates, all the venues, and all the information that you need to be a part of First Date Fashion Week. We have a treat because we are going to actually have some models come up and show us how to walk, okay?
Yeah.
And not only that, their coach is going to coach them through it, make sure that they're walking correctly, and I'm going to be taking notes so you can take it right away.
All right. So, come on up, darling. Show us what you got. Make sure you take your time as you walk, and I want you to show them a sophisticated walk as if you have on a gown.
Work.
And as you can see, she's stretching her legs because most of the time if you have on a gown, what's going to happen, you may step on it. So you want to move slow and very gracefully. And you definitely want to make sure that you're spreading your legs and stretching your arms. Thank you, Antoinette. Next up, we have Miss Alyssa. And this is my new little baby. Yes, I'm very big on mentoring and making sure that they have everything in order. You can come on, walk, go ahead and walk. And since she has on sneakers, just give us a fun walk. Little cutie. Good job. Now we have Javen, which is a male model. And he's going to give you a little something smooth and, you know.
Okay, smooth with it.
All right.
Swagged out.
Yes, give us a little dread action.
Okay.
Yes, Javen.
Okay.
And they're just getting started. So that was
I
a little bit
love
of what they have
it.
for you.
I
Yes.
love it. Thank you so much for being with us today. I cannot wait to be a part of First Date Fashion Week again, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go follow them. Coming up next, we have none other than Miss Aisha Austin. She's going to be sharing a story of victory where she went through a situation with her husband. I'm going to let her tell you all about that next. Stay tuned to All Things Women Talk Show. Hey guys, we are back and we have our next guest. I'm so excited to jump right into this interview. We have Aisha Austin of UBU. Listen, this is my sister, so y'all have to bear with me. This is my sister in Christ, and I love her to death. I'm so excited to have you today.
I'm excited to be here.
And I'm so glad we have so much time to talk.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
let's have a little girl talk first.
Okay.
Tell me how you became the woman that you are today, in whatever way you want to tell me that.
Okay.
You're a wife, you're a mom,
Yeah.
but you're also a phenomenal woman.
Thank you. Yeah. That's not without just a lot of trials and tribulations and personal things that I've gone through, you know, throughout my life to kind of build me up and make me the woman that I am today.
Yes.
Just growing up, it was rough, you know, growing up, single parent mom, and, you know, there was some child abuse that happened there, and, you know, emotional, physical, and I was able to get through that, and God was able to bring me through that, you know, and so I, you know, just continue to really trust God in all things, honestly, to be the woman that I am today, you know, so, yeah.
Well, you are
I
a
give God the
phenomenal
glory.
woman. I mean, you're really holding back for the people, but that's okay. We're going to get into it. Now, really quick, you actually have your own talk show. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what you focus on in your talk show.
Sure. So it's the name of the talk show is called Uniquely Beautiful You Wellness Oasis, and it was birthed out of just everything that I've gone through in my life and wanting to share that, and then wanting to bring other women on the show. I call it an educational enrichment show, you know, we want to aspire to inspire women and kind of share their stories as they go through their journey.
Okay.
We say take the journey to tell the story.
Take the journey
You know,
to tell the story. Take the journey to tell the
the
story.
story.
Take the journey.
Yeah.
I love your
Yeah, thank
song.
you.
I love it. Y'all, please check it out on Facebook, UBU, and love it. All Things Uniquely Beautiful You. Listen, go check it out. But really quick, speaking of journeys, you have been on an amazing journey very recently with your husband, Curtis. And like I said, you guys are like my brother and sister.
Yeah.
But I want us today to be able to encourage some other women who may be going through some trying times
Yeah.
that may seem like they cannot make it.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do next. They don't know who to turn to. I want you to tell me the story of the struggle and the triumph that you and your husband have gone through. And you can start from the very beginning.
Yeah, so around about this time last year, was the spring of last year, my husband's very active, and he's very fit, right? And he teaches spin and, you know, some other things, and he was actually my kickboxing coach. We met at church, but he was actually my kickboxing coach, and that's how, you know, how everything started with our courtship. But so he ran a marathon last May, the Warrior Dash. And the same weekend, he power stained the deck, did some yard work, and just did a lot of things around the house. So that Monday, he realized that he had a pulled muscle. So he goes into work, and you know, he takes some anti-inflammatory, and for whatever reason, this time, you know, the pulled muscle is still there. It's not going away. So then he realizes he has a low-grade fever, along with this pulled muscle. So his secretary at his school, he's a principal, you know, at an elementary school, says, you know, you may want to go get that checked out at the emergency room. So he goes in, lo and behold, they say, okay, because you're over 50, at the time he was 51, they said, you know, we want to take EKG, make sure you're not having any heart attack, you know, having a heart attack. So they do EKG, blood work, and also an X-ray. Now, my husband, like I said, he's very fit, so he's been going to the doctor every year since like his 13th birthday, right? But he's never had to get an X-ray. So they found this mass, you know, through this X-ray. And that was kind of the moment that kind of changed everything for us. Because you go from healthy and fit and not having any type of symptoms at all to now possibly being told you have cancer. So
what, let me stop you. What, when you finally got that diagnosis, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
Disbelief.
Okay.
Honestly, disbelief. It was this is not real. This
can't be real.
This can't be true.
Right.
You just ran a marathon, you know. So what they told him was it could be cancer or it could be an infection.
Okay.
So my thought was, oh, it's just an infection.
Right.
It's just an infection.
Exactly.
That's all. That's all it is. So they admitted him to the hospital, and he was there for 3 days. And then he ended up having to go to another hospital to get a biopsy.
Okay.
And we found out through the mail, through a fax actually, that they said that it was diagnosed, the initial findings were diagnosed as non-small cell lung cancer.
Wow.
So you can imagine getting a fax saying non-small cell lung cancer. I mean, the pit of your stomach just drops, you know? But even in that, we told each other, no matter what, you know, no matter what the outcome of all this may be, we told each other that we will trust God.
Yeah.
So
look, I got the tissues right here, baby. Look, don't even.
Thank you, sis.
Don't even. I was prepared.
That even in the midst of that, that for Christ, for everything that we have ever known, you know, throughout our life, we grew up in church. You know, that's just what we've known. You know,
right.
But it wasn't just about church. It's about relationship with God.
I was going to ask you that next.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What? Because I can only imagine. For me, this is just me.
Yeah.
I would have probably experienced some why God, some why us God.
Yeah.
Some but God, you know, like some angry but God. Like really?
Yeah.
What kinds of things personally as a woman did you go through in terms of your relationship with God at that point?
It was a humbling experience, first and foremost, because then you have to think, okay, you have this, you know, first of all, as a woman, as a wife, seeing a text, because that's how he sent it to me, through a text, because he didn't want to call me.
Okay.
You know, it was hard to say, hey, I mean, they just said that I may have those words. I remember when he told me that it happened, he said that he zoned out. After he heard the word cancer, he just zoned out.
Wow.
And so that's all he heard, you know. So it was definitely, after I cried out, honestly, out of the emotion, you know, I had to get through myself, get over myself for a second and say, okay, there was never a question, God, why? There was a, okay, God, now what?
Now what? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't like, okay, God, why us? Why us? It was more of a, okay, if this is what it is, now what, God?
What do we do?
What do we do now? And how do we, honestly, inspire your people through it? Because we knew that it wasn't about us, you know?
Yes.
Especially when you live a life, and this is not, you know, I mean, when you live a life that you believe is upright. You know, it was nothing that it wasn't like he was smoking, or, you know, anything like that. And no
nothing that he caused.
Right, and no offense, you know, anybody that does that, but I'm just saying that it wasn't anything that he caused.
Right.
So it was, we had to look at it from the perspective of, okay, this is the hand that we've been dealt.
Yeah.
And so now, God, how do we inspire your people through this? First of all, how do we get through it? You know, and then how do we inspire your people through it? And what does that look like?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Talk to me about Life with the Austins that you all decided to start, which has been so inspiring. Go on Facebook and follow them. Life with the Austins, LIPHE.
Yes.
With the Austins.
Yes.
Tell us about why you guys started that.
Sure. So it's an acronym. I love acronyms. And it's Living in Prosperous Health Every Day with the Austins.
Okay.
And we started it because we wanted to inspire people through our journey. So it's the journey of life, you know, life, love, and healing.
Okay.
And we post videos. We try to post healthy
All
recipes.
the updates, like
yeah, all
you
the
guys are
updates
awesome.
about what's going on, and we just feel like it's an avenue, you know, that God can just shine even on a social media page.
Yes.
You know, through Facebook.
Yes.
And so that's why we started it, and also like a documentary, you know, to keep people updated, because a lot of our friends and our family, you know, they were asking, well, what's going on, what's happening now?
So it was an easier way
was
than
just
having to
easier.
explain it over and over again.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. So
So-
take me back to the moment where you guys found out what the diagnosis was. You asked God, okay, what do we do next?
Yeah.
What happened after that?
Yeah. Honestly, I was in disbelief.
Okay.
Meaning, okay, so they said non-small cell lung cancer, but in my heart of hearts, I just
Didn't sit right.
it didn't sit right. Something was off. And I say that because they were saying that this mass was huge. You know, we saw the x-ray.
Right.
And honestly, it was probably the size of a half sheet of paper. It
Wow.
was huge. So it covered his entire lung. And so they were like, you know, have you been exposed to asbestos? You know, are you a smoker? And we're just sitting there looking at
None
each
of
other
that,
like
yeah.
nothing. You know, so where did this come from? So we got a second opinion. And in that, we had a doctor that was very thorough. I mean, he was just amazing.
Okay.
And he said to us, you know, this will probably be the first and the last case that I ever see like this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
Because
was
it's
that
so
rare?
because it ended up not being lung cancer at all.
Okay.
It ended up being something called thymic carcinoma, which is a cancer that is, it happens in adolescence, really. So basically what happens is your thymus stops growing cells at around, you know, 13, 14, 15, let's say, during, you know, the adolescent stage. And for whatever reason, Curtis, his kept growing. So of course it kept growing, so in turn it mutated.
Okay.
And so that's what happened, and so it spread from his thymus to his lung.
Okay.
So that's what happened with that. So we did a more extensive biopsy, finding out that it was thymic carcinoma instead of lung cancer. And it's funny because the initial reaction was, okay, should we be happy about that because it's so rare, or we, you know, it was it was interesting, because then we thought, okay, well, who's going to treat it? Because at this point, because it's so rare, it needs treatment from, you know, the higher ups, if you will, research treatment,
Exactly.
versus just, you know, local doctor treatment. And so that's what we had to do. We ended up being called by NIH. So
Wow.
yeah.
I'm flowing with you, sis. I'm going with you. Tell me how you all's daily life began to be impacted because of the diagnosis and the treatments and everything. And how did you get through that as a woman and as a wife?
Yeah. So we initially, after we found out the other diagnosis of the thymic carcinoma, we went to NIH, and so he was being seen by doctors there, and we started chemo treatments.
Okay.
And so normally you go through 6 stages of chemo treatments.
Okay.
They wanted him to go through 8. So that in and of itself was a little different.
Okay.
You know, so he did 8. And the tumor shrank a little bit, not too much. And so they wanted, of course, to operate. They needed to take it out.
Okay.
You know, before it metastasized, you know, somewhere else.
Right.
And that's what they did. So they took not only the tumor, but his whole entire left lung.
Wow.
So they took his left lung, a part of his diaphragm, a part of his pericardium sac, which is the sac around the heart.
Wow.
And I'm missing something. They took 4 things, but I tell you, if you look at him today, you would
wouldn't
never
know it.
know that and this is God's
not
grace.
know it.
This is God's grace. And sis, if I may, sis.
Yes, you may. You may.
It really goes back to holding on to God's grace, you know?
I was just thinking about the thorn in my side.
Yeah.
And how the answer for that was no, I'm not taking it because my grace is sufficient.
Absolutely.
Like as you're talking, I'm just, it's coming to life for me. My God.
So, like I said, the tumor was huge. It was the size of a half a sheet of paper, so they took it out. The fact that he was up and walking literally in 2 days was amazing. So, I mean, he really is a walking miracle. So as a wife, honestly, how I got through that as a wife and as a mother and just a woman, period, and this is not to be deep and spooky, because
Yeah.
you know I'm not deep and
Right,
spooky.
right.
I'm relational,
Right.
you know. I had to see God,
Yeah.
like, and not just.
What else do you do?
You cannot do anything else. Seriously, I'm gonna tell you something. And this is just real.
Yeah.
If I didn't have God going through this situation,
Uh-huh.
I would have had a nervous breakdown. Seriously, because I'm still working full time. I'm still in school doing certifications, and I eventually will finish my doctorate degree. Thank you, Jesus.
Won't he do it?
Yes, he will do it. Following after my sister here. And, you know, just a mother and a wife is a lot. It's a lot.
In itself.
In and of itself.
Yes.
Right. Even if I wasn't working and weren't in school, it's still a lot in and of itself.
Right.
But honestly, just really putting God first, even in that situation. There is no other way that I got through that.
Yeah.
Honestly, and being real about it. That's the other thing. Being real enough to talk about it and say, this is how I'm feeling. You know, because people say, oh, girl, how you doing? And most of the time we say, oh, I'm okay.
When
I'm
there's
having
so
a rough
much
day.
going on.
Yeah, and not that it's
Yeah.
a therapy session, but I'm just going to let you know. You asked me how I'm doing. Today I'm having a rough day, and this is the reason
Right.
why. It's a little challenging today, actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm good, though.
Yeah.
You know, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, God's grace is sufficient, and that's what I stand on, His grace and His strength and His mercy to get through it.
Listen, we have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
I want you to look into the camera, and I
Yeah.
want you to talk to the woman who thinks that she has to have it together
Yeah.
every day. She thinks that she has to wear this mask,
Yeah.
that she has to be superwoman,
Right.
that she has to wear the cape.
Right.
Tell everybody watching
Yeah.
that it's okay
Yeah.
to just let it all go sometimes.
It really is. It's okay to just let it go. It's okay to not feel like you have to, you know, the Alicia Keys song, even when I'm a mess, I still put on the vest with an S on my chest.
Right.
It really is okay to just honestly just not allow yourself to be, to try to be so strong even in an emotional state like that. You know, it's okay to just say, okay, God, all I can do right now is cry out to you. And it's okay. You know, the scripture that I continue to use going through this was, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because I know that God is with me. So even when I'm walking through that valley, you know, I may have to drop on my knees and cry out to the Lord in that valley, but I'm walking through it. So ladies, listen, you are walking through the valley. You are not stuck there. So please continue to keep moving and know that God is with you, and He will always be with you. You do not have to be so strong. It's okay. In your weak moment, that's when He's strong, and that's when His grace is sufficient.
Wow. Thank you so much, Aisha.
You're welcome. Thank you for
I have
having
been
me.
touched once again by this story and this testimony. This has been today's episode of All Things Women Talk Show. We hope and we pray that you are inspired to realize that you don't always have to have the S on your chest.
Yeah.
You can just simply be authentically you,
Yeah.
and to let your guard down and be God's masterpiece. Love you guys.